So here's the situation. Kandi Burruss, who is the petitioner in this divorce, has officially filed a motion for a temporary hearing regarding parenting time and child support. For those of you who aren't familiar, in legal terms, the petitioner is the one who initiates the divorce, and that means Kandi is asking the court to intervene in multiple ways to ensure the well-being of her children while the divorce is being finalized. Now, according to the motion, Kandi claims that Todd has not contributed financially to the maintenance of the household or the children's needs. She specifically says that she is bearing the sole responsibility for all expenses related to the kids. That's everything from tuition, daycare, extracurricular activities, medical expenses, travel, and even daily living costs. In her motion, Kandi emphasizes that the children have significant monthly expenses and that all of these costs have been falling entirely on her shoulders. That's a lot to unpack because we're talking about two children here, Ace Tucker, their son, and Blaze, their daughter. And as any parent knows, even basic living expenses for children can add up quickly. So the fact that Kandi is pointing out that Todd hasn't contributed at all is a big deal. Now, I want to be clear here. Kandi is not saying that Todd is broke. In fact, the motion explicitly states that Todd is a self-employed entrepreneur with multiple sources of income. She even acknowledges that he has the earnings capacity to financially support the children. So we're not talking about someone who simply can't pay, we're talking about someone who chooses not to. That's an important distinction, because this motion isn't just about money, it's about accountability. Kandi is essentially saying, I've been holding it down for these kids while you've been absent, both financially and in terms of parenting. And speaking of parenting, the motion doesn't hold back on that either. Kandi goes after Todd for his lack of involvement with the children, specifically pointing out that despite his social media videos showing him doing brief snippets of daddy daycare with the kids, he does not actually engage in meaningful or consistent parenting time. The motion calls out these videos as a facade, basically saying that Todd is creating the illusion of being a hands-on dad, while in reality, he's not contributing significantly to the children's daily lives. Kandi's attorney didn't mince words here, y'all. This is not just a legal document, it's a statement, and it's clear that Kandi wants the court to recognize the disparity between Todd's public persona and his actual involvement in their children's lives. Now, let's talk about the financial side a little more, because this is where things get really interesting. Kandi details that Todd has not been contributing to the mortgage or other household expenses. And yes, there's been speculation online that Kandi may have purchased the house outright, but according to the motion, she has a mortgage and Todd is not contributing to it. This is significant because it underscores her claim that she's been carrying the full financial burden of the household, while Todd continues to live in the home and maintain his lifestyle without assisting. On top of that, Kandi mentions that since filing for divorce, Todd has traveled internationally multiple times without notifying her, which could be considered interference with parenting time. She's basically saying that he's acting independently, making decisions about the children and the household without consulting her, and leaving her to manage everything on her own. This is why she is asking the court for a temporary parenting plan that ensures fair and consistent time with the children, and also for temporary child support to cover the financial expenses she has been shouldering. And here's where it gets even messier. Kandi points out that during the recent Christmas holiday break, Todd allegedly attempted to prevent the children from traveling to New York to visit her, even though she had already paid for travel and provided notice of her plans. This is classic parenting time interference, and it's one of the main reasons she's asking the court to intervene. She wants the judge to step in and issue a temporary parenting schedule that will guarantee her children's time with her is respected. She's also asking that this schedule account for holidays and school breaks, which is smart because it prevents similar conflicts from happening in the future. Kandi has even gone so far as to say that she has already secured travel itineraries for spring break, and she wants the court to ensure that she gets that time with the children. This shows that Kandi is not just thinking about the immediate issues, she's planning ahead and trying to prevent future conflicts before they happen. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Kandi as a person, because this motion also gives us a glimpse into what she's been going through emotionally. Kandi recently posted on social media about how she internalizes her struggles, saying that she shows up for her family, friends, and business, all while being emotionally broken on the inside. She emphasized that even when she appears strong and composed, she's often dealing with life-changing stress and sadness internally. I think that adds a lot of context to this motion. Kandi isn't just fighting for child support or a parenting schedule. She's fighting to create stability and structure for her children while also trying to maintain her own emotional balance. Going through a divorce, especially one that involves children and finances, is incredibly taxing, and Kandi's motion reflects that she is being proactive in protecting her family. Another interesting point in the motion is that Kandi is asking for temporary child support. Now, some people online might say, well, Kandi has more money than Todd. Why does she need child support? But that's not really how it works. Child support isn't about who has more money, it's about ensuring that both parents contribute to the children's needs, especially when one parent has been carrying the majority of the financial burden. Kandi is asking for the court to temporarily direct Todd to pay a fair portion of expenses, like tuition, daycare, extracurricular activities, and other daily costs. This is standard in cases where one parent has not been contributing, regardless of the relative wealth of each parent. The key here is fairness and the well-being of the children. Alright, so let's start with the basics. Kandi filed for divorce on Friday, November 21, 2025, and here's an interesting little nugget about searching public records. It can be tricky because of how people choose to file their names. Kandi filed under K. Lanice Tucker, which is different from the name most of us know her by, Kandi Burruss Tucker. Todd, on the other hand, is listed as T. Jermaine Tucker, which is just his first initial combined with his full middle and last names. If you're ever trying to look up records, remember this, because even the tiniest detail can make it difficult to find official filings. This is why public records sometimes seem mysterious. People can make it confusing on purpose or just due to technicality. But luckily, we found it, and now we can really dig into what's happening. So Kandi is listed as the petitioner, meaning she's the one who officially filed, and Todd is the respondent, the one responding to the filing. The documents confirm that Kandi is a resident of Fulton County, Georgia, and has lived in the state for at least 6 months before filing. Todd is also a resident of Fulton County, which means the court has full jurisdiction over both parties. The couple got married back in 2014, which is significant because it's been over a decade, and they have 2 minor children together. Importantly, the document also confirms that they are no longer living together and have been separated since July 15, 2025. This was interesting because if you've been following their social media, you might have seen posts of them together even after this separation date, which makes you realize that appearances can be very misleading. They've been physically separate, but social media gave the impression of them being together, at least occasionally, for events or business-related reasons. Now, let's talk about the children, because this is where things get serious. Kandi states that they have 2 minor children, a boy and a girl, who have lived with both parents from birth up until the date of separation. She also makes it clear that there are no other custody claims from anyone outside the marriage, which means there's no hidden party that could complicate the custody arrangement. She emphasizes that the children have been under joint control of both parents since the separation. That's huge because it shows the court that even though the marriage is ending, both parents have been actively participating in raising the children, making decisions, and maintaining stability in their daily lives. Kandi is also requesting joint physical custody and joint legal custody. This is a very smart move because it shows the court that she is putting the children first. She's not looking to punish Todd or take the kids entirely. It's about what's best for the children. Courts often look favorably upon this kind of request because it reflects co-parenting and cooperation. Moving on, Kandi makes it crystal clear that the marriage is irretrievably broken, citing the legal standard that there is no reasonable hope of reconciliation. In other words, she's saying, this is over, there's no getting back together. She also brings up their prenuptial agreement, requesting that the court enforce it.
From what we know, Kandi originally wanted Todd out of the marital home within 30 days of a potential separation, and it seems like she is following that agreement closely. Todd may contest this, or he may just accept it, but the prenuptial agreement is a key piece of the puzzle because it outlines their financial responsibilities, property rights, and what happens in case of divorce. This helps streamline the legal process and can prevent unnecessary disputes.
Now, let's get into the child support angle, which is the part that everyone is curious about. Kandi doesn't ask for child support herself. She's financially secure, but the petition leaves it up to the court, stating that child support obligations should be determined according to Georgia's guidelines. In other words, she's saying, I don't need child support, but if the court decides someone should receive it, let the court decide. This is very smart on her part because it removes any appearance of bias or greed, leaving it up to the judge to decide based on fairness and the children's best interests. Based on what we've seen on social media, Todd appears to be the one handling school drop-offs, pickups, and day-to-day care. Kandi has the resources, but Todd is more involved in the daily routines, which could influence the court's decision if they were to award child support. Traditionally, the parent who has a busier or more irregular schedule, and therefore higher expenses related to the children's care, might receive support, but the court will weigh both time spent with the children and financial capability. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Even though the documents say they separated in July 2025, there are multiple posts on Kandi's social media showing her and Todd together after that date. For example, on October 8th, they were photographed at an event with the kids. There are also posts from earlier months promoting Todd's work, like his movie Don't Bring Your Man to Atlanta, which shows that their interactions weren't just personal, they had business overlap as well. What this tells us is that Kandi and Todd have been trying to maintain a civil and supportive relationship for the sake of the children, even after deciding they no longer want to be married. This is really important because it shows the court and the public that the children's welfare is being prioritized over any lingering personal drama. Another significant detail is that Kandi even wished Todd a happy birthday on August 4th, posting, "Todd, this is your year, your winning season. I love you. Your next film is a must-see." Now, let's think about this. If you're separated from someone and you know the marriage is over, would you post something like that? It makes you wonder if Kandi was hoping for some kind of reconciliation. Maybe she thought that things could work out. But ultimately, nothing changed because she filed for divorce in November. It seems like she was giving it time to see if reconciliation was possible, but when it wasn't, she moved forward legally to protect herself and her children. This is actually very realistic because sometimes people need to give themselves a timeline to see if a broken relationship can be repaired, and when it can't, they make it official. Looking at the bigger picture, one of the most important takeaways from these documents is that co-parenting is still intact. Even though the marriage is ending, both parents have been showing up for the children. They've attended events together, supported each other's work, and maintained a stable environment. The legal filings are essentially formalizing what they've already been practicing: joint custody and clear legal responsibilities. This is critical because it prevents future disputes over parenting schedules, expenses, or child support. By having everything on record, the court has clear evidence of cooperation and consistency, which is something judges like to see. So let's get back to the burning question: who will get child support? Based on the information we have, it seems likely that Kandi could end up paying it. Why? Well, she has the greater financial resources, and Todd is more involved in the day-to-day care of the children, which the court may consider when determining who pays and who receives. But again, she didn't ask for a specific amount. She left it open to the court, which is very smart because it avoids unnecessary conflict and allows the judge to make a fair, impartial decision. Todd could contest, he could agree, or the court could decide differently depending on all factors, but Kandi has structured the petition to keep the process as neutral as possible. So let's summarize what Kandi is asking the court for in this motion. First, she wants a temporary parenting plan to ensure that both she and Todd have structured and respectful time with the children.
Second, she wants temporary child support so that she isn't solely responsible for the financial burden of raising the kids. Third, she's asking for specific time during spring break because she has already paid for the travel and wants to avoid any disputes over the schedule. And finally, she's asking for any other relief the court deems just and proper, which is a catch-all that allows the judge to address any additional issues that arise during the divorce proceedings. This motion is a smart move because it addresses both the immediate financial needs and the ongoing parental responsibilities, while also creating a clear record for the court about Todd's lack of contribution.
Now, here's the real question for you all. Why is Kandi taking this route? From what we can see, she's not being vindictive. She's being practical and protective. She's ensuring that the children's needs are met, that parenting time is respected, and that Todd is held accountable for his responsibilities. This is about children's welfare, not just money or drama. And honestly, I think it's refreshing to see someone be so transparent about their situation. Kandi is speaking up for herself and her children, even though it could stir up more public scrutiny. That shows a lot of strength, because going through a divorce under public scrutiny is never easy. So, what does this mean for Todd? Well, based on the motion, Todd is going to have to respond to these allegations in court. He could provide evidence of contributions we don't know about, or he could argue against Kandi's claims. But the fact that Kandi has filed a detailed and organized motion puts the ball squarely in his court. If the judge finds her claims credible, Todd could be required to contribute financially and adhere to a structured parenting schedule. This could have long-term implications for both of them, and more importantly, for the children. The judge's decision will set a precedent for how the children's expenses and parenting time are handled during the divorce process. So, let's open it up to you, the viewers. Is Todd really refusing to contribute, or is there more to the story? And how do you feel about Kandi filing this motion? Does it work in her favor, or could it backfire? Remember, the motion is focused on ensuring the children are cared for, but it also shines a light on Todd's lack of involvement. There's a lot to consider here, and I'd love to hear what you all think in the comments. Are you Team Kandi for standing up and protecting her kids, or do you think Todd has a different side we haven't seen yet? Either way, this is getting real, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Alright y'all, that's the full breakdown on Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker's divorce update. Kandi has filed a new motion for child support and temporary parenting time, highlighting Todd's lack of financial and parental contribution, and asking the court to step in and create structure for the kids. Things are heating up, and we will definitely keep you posted as this case develops. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about Kandi's motion, Todd's role, and how this divorce is playing out? Let's spill all the tea while it's still hot.